Centering for our opening prayer. In our heart of hearts, we become present and we join with the heart of hearts of all other souls, choosing to gather in the same intention, to call in the presence of our Father, Mother, God into our being and to fill every particle of our being with your holy presence. In this moment, we stand together as children of God, light workers around the planet, daughters of heaven, and we call upon your holy presence, beloved divine universal mother. Onto our altar in our hearts we surrender to you. We surrender our minds, our thoughts, our feelings, our experiences. We surrender everything possible as unconditionally as possible. And you lift this to the heavens to disperse it into the nothingness it is. And to replace it with your holy presence is our only quest now. It's our only desire. To replace all that is unlike you with all that you truly are. We're made in your image, and you now activate us to live, think, act, speak accordingly. Help us to receive this fully. Help us to see this, our worthiness of this, and see this within ourselves. And help us to live this and share this with each other. Not one person is unworthy of God's love. Help us live accordingly. And so it is.
Please join me in reading our mission statement, which you can find on this white card. Together we say, the Global Center for Christ Consciousness is a spiritual center for students and masters on the spiritual path. We are dedicated to awakening the inner Christ and to creating a world of love, peace, joy, and abundance. And now for our sacred reading.
From Philippians, do not be anxious about anything, but instead in every situation, by prayer and with thanksgiving, present your challenges and requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Also, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, let these type of things be the thoughts that dominate your mind and heart, and the God of peace will be with you. And so it is.
Sorry, guys. Well, we welcome you if you're visiting the area or if you're at our center here for the first time. It's the best center in the world. Can anyone share briefly what's in your heart, what you're wanting to learn about, share about today?
Being true to oneself.
Peace?
Boundary. Letting go and allowing somebody else.
Okay, good. So who else is it that you want to lead? Ah.
No, I'm just going through a really tough time right now, Energizer Bunny, I'm in charge, and I have to learn to release the wheel and let my husband lead for a while, and it's tough, but I know he's doing a great job. It's just hard.
Right on. There's so many things, we come to this earth, which is really interesting if you think about it. Because we come to this earth and we have these things that we do. We think we're men or women or this or that. We think we're graduating from school. They're linear, Oh, I've got a job, and oh, I'm retiring, and I've got kids, I don't have kids. All these labels, it's quite interesting. Because it's all an illusion. It's all a hologram that we're really just experiencing ourselves. So when you ask about that unyielding trust and the ability to let others, there are no others. So it's all really a mirror of ourselves. So even when it's time, it's time I've got to surrender some things, let other people kind of take the lead a little bit, or these are all us describing ourselves. This is it's me, something shifting in me. And it helps us a lot when you ask about coexistence or being true to oneself, and so on. It's interesting to me because we're describing our own inner process. I know that's not always easy to see, but we're going through it's our own process. If there's a group of people, any type of people that annoys you, they're a part of you to look at. And they will annoy you until you look at them and see what God wants you to see. Honestly. I don't mean you just improve a little bit of how you see people or things. It's not a matter of just improving a little bit. I mean, literally, it will keep happening until you decide you're done. And I don't mean you decide with your head. Viscerally, you will know. When they ask, a Buddha about reincarnation, for example, Buddha says people reincarnate based on desire. Now, what religions, including Buddhism, does is go, oh, desire, that kind of desire. You have to incarnate because of desire, That's not what he was saying, because of your desire to be done with your stuff. That's why he called it irresistible desire. He didn't mean irresistible sensual addiction. Desire, No, the desire to be complete. That's why it's irresistible, because there's something in us that will keep coming back until we've cleared it all up, because we really want to be home. We really want to be done. So that's the beautiful part of coming back. And, even when you think, for example, it's time to let it's time for the attorney to come in and take care of things with my last will, for example, or my children to come in and take care of us, or my husband to take the lead, or me to take the lead for my husband. All those kinds of things. Those are parts of me that I'm seeing. So even if someone in your life is stepping in and taking the lead, how is that feeling? Well, it's a little challenging, as you said. Good. And why is that? Because I was an oldest sibling and I had to cover for them, watch my siblings, and you start looking for all those little stories inside that made you run on that automatic program. And you start retiring them, because people think addiction is like drugs and drinking. We're addicted to every one of our masks, every one of them. So the person who has to say, you know what? I know I'm a mom. I know I have to take care of the kids. Today I'm sick and I need to call somebody to help. But you have to watch how you feel about that, because there's a temptation to go, no, it's got to be me, because, you see, there's some story behind it. People don't realize as much as they should. You've heard of the spiritual path, right? And haven't you heard of the healing path? But those two are the two sides of the caduceus. Everyone has to do both. But usually we have people that are, all into eating healthy, but they're not into clearing old issues. They're not into past lives. They're just thinking, no, as long as I eat, tasteless food, then I'm really an evolving, wonderful being. And, you're especially wonderful if you eat tasteless food while in a yoga position. Those are people that are on the healing path, and I think it's wonderful. But where's the spiritual path? There's people in the spiritual path who have no interest in their health. They do not take care of themselves in any way. They're so spiritual, but it's reading and it's chanting and it's wearing certain stones or whatever, but they're not in their body. The balance being asked for is like this, a nice equilibrium. And then that's also the healing path. Not only do they go like this up the body, representing two paths that have to be brought into harmony. Not only do they do that, but it's also the healing path primarily is your emotional chakra and your heart center. The spiritual path, more masculine, is really your root and your mind. In other words, when you're working the spiritual path without the healing path, you're actually doing things a little more cerebral. You're really doing things a little more the male chakras, the first and third chakras. Healing means bringing in the feminine side, the emotional and the heart. Everybody should know this. It should be a no-brainer, and we should all be engaged in that. And it is our destiny, and we're going to get there the easy way or the hard way. If you ignore the healing path and you're all into the spiritual path, you could be really deeply, you could know 800 mantras, and you could know all the factions of Buddhism, and you can be a genius with chapters and verses of the Bible and Vedas, and it's just cerebral. And so what spirit will do, and I don't mean God per se, I mean what your soul will do is, hey, listen, we notice you're really comfortable with reciting mantras, and you wear spiritually aligned colored clothing, and you go sit up on the red rocks and, chant or whatever. We know that you have all that. But we notice you don't really look at old wounds. Oh, I don't need to. I chant them away. Oh, mommy, Padme, whom. Did you say mommy? No. You did. You did. Oh, mommy, papa, whom. You know why? No, I didn't do that. You did. Because it's bubbling up. It's old issues. People that are cerebral, they're not really believing they need to be sitting at a counselor's office. They think that it's below them. And it's a sad thing. And often that's often a male thing if you use gender-wise, because the female chakras are the healing path, the male chakras are the male path. So often males or stubborn women are going to think they don't need to do that because that's their masculine talking. I don't need that. If we need a counselor in our household, I'll take care of it. Oh, that's worked so well so far. No, sometimes, man, just cry. Sometimes be vulnerable. It doesn't mean you always literally have to be sitting with a counselor, but how do you know you don't need to if you haven't done it? How do you know you don't need to be heard? Well, I'm beyond that, and if I really start to feel really messed up in any way, I just go back to, and whether it's a Latin mass you're reciting or whether it's an Eastern mantra. But why are you doing that? Well, because, I'm feeling off today, so I'm doing mantra to get me on. Sometimes just ask why you're feeling off. What's happening? Well, I don't need to because no, stop the recitation. Just for a moment. How are you doing? I'm feeling overwhelmed. Oh, man. You breathe into that for a moment. Guys, sometimes you just drop in. The healing path, you just drop in. You mean I'm allowed to? But wait, but I'm into spirituality and I've read so many books and whatever. No, man, sometimes, can you still touch your toes? You know? Why not? Because you've been reading so long, your body doesn't move anymore. Your posture's like this. You know, you're walking down the street with your shoulders tucked into your ears, you know? Because your posture, everything's so, where's this, you know? Can you open up backwards as far, like similarly to forwards? No. Well, why? Well, a lot of people can't bend as far backwards. That's because the backwards represents your past. More people can fall forward or then relaxing into arching back. It's, you know, it's the past. And thinking about how this body is a map for us. Stop ignoring and getting into your head. Everything is right here. The kingdom of God is within you, upper three chakras. We look to the heavens and pray, but it's really I look to the heavens and pray. Because God isn't actually right there somewhere, like hidden behind the moon. God isn't actually in the sky, but why do we look up to pray? It's a symbol. I don't mind doing it because I know what I'm doing. It's a symbol. But it just means I'm looking to higher something. It's God. Something that's higher than me who's doing the praying. And there's days where God's not saying, well, you're not looking up, so I can't hear you. That kind of doesn't make sense. The greatest prayers are not when you look up. They're looking in. How are you feeling? Well, I'm doing great. No. You have to look in. How are you doing? Go in here. That's where your soul is, your heart, your soul. I'm feeling vulnerable today. I'm feeling sad today. And, it's good to do that. We're thinking that those words mean I'm failing my path that's supposed to be going like this. You are going like this. You'll, in fact, speed up your progress of moving forward in your life when you heal the wounds that are holding you back. And a lot of type A people would be, it's me doing that gets me somewhere. Nobody's ever helped me. Nobody's ever been there. I made myself the success I am. And I'm saying to you, we all go through times of the dark night of the soul. And the dark night of the soul is primarily made up of dealing with stuff we've ignored along the way. None of it's made up stuff. It's not like there's an entity out there that goes, let's draw straws to figure out what kind of tests to give them. You only ever have tests that are relevant to you and your stuff, whatever the stuff is. Well, how do we get rid of this stuff? You can't chant it away. Chanting and mantras take you somewhere after you've done some personal healing. You get that? Your greatest prayers, why does Jesus say, don't you be coming to the altar to pray to God when you have issues? Doesn't he say that? Go and work on the issue and then come to God, which is really a strange thing to say. Because he's not saying you can't go to God with an issue. What he's saying specifically is, don't be thinking you can go into a higher place of chanting and oneness with God when in fact you're resenting someone. Free up that anchor that's hooked onto something, free it up, and you're already halfway there. Your prayers are far more successful when they're not bound by resentments, unhealed wounds included. I don't mean just conscious resentments, but old wounds. Let these things be discussed. Bring them to a counselor, a sponsor, etc., and bring them to God. But don't try to bring enlightening prayer to God while holding resentment. Come to the mother, the divine mother, in your heart and bring the stuff that's hurting, whatever it is. So the mantras can launch you further after you've done some soul searching. Affirmations are great. But sitting around and affirming you're good when you're hurting isn't as successful, isn't as effective as much as working on the stuff. And when the stuff starts to clear, now you're ready. The mantras can launch you somewhere. There are times during the pain to do mantras. There are times to do prayer, when you're in pain. I get that. But generally speaking, two paths, and they have to be woven in balance within a person. Today, man, I'm feeling so spiritual. Oh my God, I read this great book. Oh, I did some mantra. I was totally in meditation. I saw multiple dimensions, and all that is fantastic. So do it. But there are days where something is aching inside, and it's better to deal with that. Let that get resolved. Work on that before you try to launch into something else. There are people walking around thinking, that just a certain mantra is going to help them ascend. There are people that think that. If you're in a certain group, I belong to a group and we're just ascending because I have a membership card. You're coming back. You're going to come back in another lifetime and have to join an Ascension Anonymous group because you have to start working on all these bizarre delusions you had about why am I not gone into ascended mastery? Because you still hate your ex. Because you still have an addiction and you've never gone into a program to look at why. Well, I don't need to know why. I don't need to, that's in the past. Oh, that one. I don't need to think about any of that because it's in the past. Yes and no. Yes, it's in the past. But you're in the past too. When you have a resentment or a wound, unhealed wound from the past, you're in the past. Don't act like my not thinking about it cures it. I don't want to live in the past. You are living in the past. And the disease, the ache, the tension, the emotional triggers, and all those are linked to the past. And there's a proper way to heal. You don't let the past regress you. You don't let it draw you back. Stop talking about what happened when you do it the same words over and over and over and over. That's someone who doesn't want to heal. It sounds like they do, clearly, because they keep talking about it. But if they keep talking about it with no progress, something's wrong. When someone can say, my anger level at so-and-so is a 10, and they talk about it a few times this year, and now it's an 8, that's progress. If it stays at an 8, I would be concerned if I were you. If 10 years, 20 years, high school reunion. Hey, everyone, good to see you all again. How's everything been? Well, my mom, my dad, they're going to be like, still? This is the 50th reunion. Jeez. Didn't you pick up anything along the way to kind of, let's move along? It's hazardous, but we forget that this is a hologram of me. So whatever you do, whatever you experience in life and in the world, it's a reflection of yourself. This world is reflecting me. And so here I am. So that's like, this is a map. And God is within me. And when I pray, and I imagine, one technique of Yogananda's was to imagine light in the center of your head. Because that's imagining God's presence. So you're imagining this is like the Holy of Holies in Solomon's temple. This is the holy place. This is heaven. And this is me. And I'm on my way to heaven. I cannot bring a broken person. Picture it. If this is the journey upwards to enlightenment, and if this upper chakras represent enlightenment in some form, picture that. Picture the Kundalini, but you only have one of them. Hi, I'm here, ready to be drawn into heaven. You don't look like you're all here. Well, I followed the spiritual path. Yeah, but according to our records, you have all kinds of weird triggers and resentments about people of the past. Yeah, but I read a lot of books. Or, I spoke a lot of spirituality. I listened and learned a lot of spirituality. But where's your heart? Where's your emotional self? And, traditions over many generations, guys, you've seen this. Many schools of thought basically said you have to overcome your emotions. You have to negate them, like stuff them down to be spiritual. That's been taught for generations. And then when you go through the dark night of the soul and you really see what's happening, you go, uh-oh, wow. I've been on the spiritual path, not embracing and dealing with my emotional path, which is my other half. That has drawn me to the dark night of the soul. Your unhealed pieces are what make up your dark night of the soul. Every creepy critter in the dark night, everything in that dark tunnel, every cloud, every heaviness, the dampness, the darkness, the sounds of pain in that dark tunnel, those are all from my past. They're unhealed wounds from my past. Some are big patterns and some are little incidents, but they're all my past. I'm never in the dark night of the soul having your past. It's all me. Every creepy crawly, every little thing that's going on in that tunnel is a part of me. How soon I reach the light at the end of the tunnel is also determined, in a sense, by me. Not my head. Well, I think I'm ready. That's my head talking. When I feel clear, my soul will say, this is as much as you're going to be able to do this time. Great, you reach the light at the end of the tunnel. The downside is that when you're walking down the tunnel of life, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that's what that means. When you're walking down the tunnel of life, and you're working on some things along the way, good for you, good for you. And you're getting what I'm saying, or you already knew it, and you're like, yes, I know to take good care of my emotional self and triggers, cool, as well as my spiritual material, learning and studying and reading and doing all these things, meditating. I got it. But still, any residual pieces, it's interesting. There's like you remember the flower in a wedding, the ring bearer and the flower. There's this little person following you. It's your soul following you down that tunnel. Any pieces you miss, it just picks them up and puts them in a basket. You know? And you get to the light at the end of the tunnel, you're all celebrating, whatever. A few years later, hi. These are the pieces you missed. Oh no, you're kidding me. How could this be happening? Well, it's you. And it's interesting to me because we think of like heaven and hell as a concept for many, and yet it's all within me. Where's hell in the tradition of hell? It's in the bowels of the earth. I have bowels too. Down in the dark bowels of myself. And the bowels are about releasing what? The past. Old, unnecessary material. Nutrients are drawn in and absorbed, which are called lessons you've learned. And the rest should be eliminated. Oh, but we don't do that. You know what our bowels do? I'm going to cling to that. Let me put some of that mucousy stuff on the walls of my being. The walls are not like slip and slide. Sorry. Instead, if you read a description of hell, you'll realize the bowels of the earth, there's actually not in the middle of the earth a guy with a pitchfork. Welcome to hell. It's a dimension, really. But it's also a dimension of my being. Hell is within me. And it's my unhealed wounds. It's all of my secrets and unhealed parts. What am I not allowing the light to shine upon? What am I afraid of? What am I ashamed of? And the bowels do actually work like that. The bowels of the body actually grab bits of stuff coming through. It never just allows complete, full healing release. It clings to stuff. People that do colon therapy and colon cleanses will tell you, if they know enough about it, they'll tell you the strangest thing about colon cleansing, welcome. People walking in at a sacred service, and so colons. So strange, you never know where we're going, you know. But the way this works, it's so bizarre, because if you do colon therapy and you're releasing old mucus and plaque, which you have in your arteries as well, but you have plaque and such in the colon. Here's what they say. When you cleanse, when that plaque is taken out of the colon because you've done some fibrous kind of stuff to move it this way and colons to wash it out, you know what they're telling you? It'll trigger the memories of whatever the plaque was about. Try that on for size. Like, see, in other words, I don't want to know anything about it. Let me keep it all hidden. When you do things to move it, in talking, counseling, in 12-step where you back away from your usual ways of coping, which was never really coping very well. When you take away my stuff, when you expose me to stuff, I will react. There's a reason why I drink. There's a reason why that bit of plaque needs to remain. It symbolizes something. Everybody's a hoarder when it comes to that. We have stuff we don't want to even think about why we have it, and it's all stuck to the walls of our being. The colon represents hell, the deepest, darkest bowels of the earth. I am the earth. It's all a metaphor. Do you really want that? Do you really need the plaque? And then somebody has the audacity to move it, meaning through cleansing. The soul is going to go, oh my God, you don't know what you've done. You moved a chunk of something that was stuck there that represented childhood patterns. And now you've cleansed it out. We have no way to hide it. You've opened it up. You see? And oh my God, now I feel vulnerable. See, I was hiding something and you opened it up. So the same goes with muscles and joints in the body that are stuck. They symbolize something. So when you go into stretching a certain muscle or muscle group or joint or whatever it happens to be, it's about unwinding it. Or if a therapist is working on your body, it's unwinding. It's not about rub and push if they're really, really deep workers, meaning deep consciousness. Instead, they take you somewhere, the plaque, the mucus, the stuckness. That's our unhealed wounds. They take you to that place, and then the idea is, let's relax into that for a minute. What's going on there? And you can feel emotions, and you can feel things happening, and they let it unwind a little bit. And see, you're in a healing form, you're letting something release. And sometimes there are more dramatic forms. You go and you see a Rolfer, and they'll go into a joint, and they don't just like push. They go in, open it, and you see what happens. And sometimes it's, oh, well, that's kind of uncomfortable. I wonder if the discomfort is what they're doing or if it's discomfort that was already there. Training healers so many years, I've always said this: you never want to cause pain, you're finding pain. There's a difference. Okay? There's a difference. So you go into a place that's uncomfortable, but okay, let me check in. Am I causing pain or are we finding pain? And you just never know. Sometimes just gentle words can help people unwind something. Sometimes just holding their hand, Unexpected acts of kindness can actually trigger people into healing. Just kindness. We're all God's children, and we're all walking around with all kinds of stories. I don't mean that in the demeaning kind of way that some people say that, but we're walking around with what you see is what I am. What you see is what you get. What you see is what I believe about myself. How are you doing today? And I have, let's say, a birthmark in a certain place. It means something. An ache in a certain place. It means something. I'm saying that we all come in. Here's the veil, let's say, between the deeper realms and the earth. Although we do come through embryologically and so on, I get that. But metaphorically, we all come to earth like this. Before I arrive, I have beliefs, past life patterns, current life issues. I even have some worries about where I'm going. I'm about to go into that family. Wow. What was I thinking? There's going to be some stuff, but when I come in, it's as though I'm walking through a membrane, and I walk in and I start to look like this. Every hair is exactly symbolic of something. Perfectly, mathematically. My hip bones are mine, not yours. My ribs are mine, not yours. Your mole on the forehead is yours, not mine. Everything you have, everything you are, everything you look like, everything is there. And you're arriving and you're saying, here's me and all my stuff. Here's me and all my beliefs. Some of them are great. I'm here and I'm excited. I want to share, love and light of God. So you'll have that kind of vibe. That's not the same as, I was thinking about sharing the love and light of God today. It's not congruent. So if I talk to you like that, that's probably something behind that. The tone of my voice. There's a reason for my voice to be loud or calm. sweet or aggressive, abrasive. Everything about us. Everything. You come in and everything formulates based on the deeper beliefs that we have about ourselves. That's the highs and the lows, but every bit of it. Now, technically, what we don't remember is that even if you believe what I just said, what we don't remember is that when we come out and bring that, guys, there's a reason why I bring to you a person who has bright eyes and confidence. There's a reason. I'm sharing that with you, right? The excitement. I'm sharing something. But what about pain? What about if I walk into the world today, come out of my house and I walk into the world and I go to the store and my posture is like this and my breath is like this and I'm just sounding so tired and I look so tired. Why? It's just so people can go, wow, that person's a mess. I'm telling you, we are coming out and showing each other ourselves because we want help. When you bring pain to the world, I swear to you, what you're saying is, I'm walking out into the world, I encounter 100 people, 1,000 people. Haven't one of you seen what's inside of me? Well, no, it's inside. No, it isn't. Didn't you catch it? When I ran out of money at the check cash register? Didn't you hear my pain when I sighed standing in front of the Fruit Loops? You know? Oh, well, I just thought you sighed. Everything. It's all something. It's all a vibration. If I take those vibes, the vibes of my tiredness, and I stuff it, it becomes a disease. If I stuff it, it becomes a mass that starts forming. Well, that's pretty bad. No, it's actually my thing that I didn't see when I sighed in front of the Fruit Loops, and so now it's a mass. Those things don't just show up. I guarantee it. It's not God's will. God didn't say, you need a mass. It's the parts of us that didn't sing, that didn't sound out that feeling. A sensitive healer, therefore, is working into the body, or you doing yoga. And it's not like, oh, stretch, and I'm just, oh yeah, sounds. Breathe into it. What is it doing? Feels good to just, let a sound just even as I'm relaxing. When I start moving into a stretch, oops, there's something there. The sound gives the ache, the pain, the wound or whatever, it gives it an expression. So now it doesn't need to stay hidden. I sounded it out. The sigh and the cry. One of the most important things when I've had clients that start crying on the phone or in person sessions and all that, when I've had people and seen people cry, one of the most amazing things is they're starting to cry and sometimes they make sounds. One of the most amazing is I'll say, listen to the sound you just made. They might be, a 40-year-old woman and she's like crying and she just thinks she's just crying. You can hear children sometimes in those sounds. You can hear that's a 10-year-old, that's a 5-year-old. You can hear it. But nobody's listening on this stinking planet. Nobody's listening. They don't have time. They have their own issues. That's all the reasoning of human beings, to just not care. Well, I've got my own, and besides, I don't want to invade their space. Guys, we're in this together. Any part of you that I ignore is a part of me. And it infects and affects us as a one child of God. The holy children of God. So it's okay. Get that attitude of, it's okay for me to, into a movement. Yeah, you're in a yoga class and they're like, this person moans and groans a little too much. Go to a different yoga class. It means that they're doing yoga and not being yoga. If they shame you for your sounds, they have a problem. If I were in the room and I see that, I might honor that and be like, oh God, yeah. Oh, and you move into it too. I'm not saying you have to bellow beyond the room's capability. I'm not talking about inappropriate, but what are you feeling right now? Most of the time, allow. There are times when it doesn't feel appropriate. I've known when it was starting to become a fad in the 90s or so, oh, you express your feelings. There's a couple of parents over the years that would be telling me, I was driving the car and I pulled over and started screaming, children in the back seat. I'm like, you're traumatizing the kids. Oh, well, I was expressing, no, you were being selfish. That's what I'm needing to say to that person in the moment. You don't cause harm to other people, then you're now an abuser. Well, I was just trying. No, listen. There's a difference between someone who's wanting to heal and their wounds and when a person allows their wounds to make them into an abuser. Right? And that's what you're doing when you're being selfish or when you think your need to vent was more important than the child's needs to think that their mom has it together. So it can be tricky sometimes to not overly make sound in a group and so on. That's just, to me, that's just, what's the greatest thing to do? What's the greatest good? That's just being sensitive to the space while still being sensitive to you. Because I didn't say stuff it. I said not appropriate there. I can still go somewhere. I can go into the men's room, and if I'm feeling all this thing, I can just, if nobody's in there, I can just, and I'm letting a bunch of stuff have a space to say goodbye. Just breathe it out. A closet, anywhere you can, outside, anywhere you can, a place to express it. But the wounds, patterns, triggers, all those things that are not expressed healthily, in a healthy way, will become trauma. I've always said trauma, the definition for trauma is any incident, any space that lacks God's presence. So trauma, yes, rape is traumatic, but that is synonymous with that lacks God's presence. But it doesn't have to be something that dramatic. You can just work in a co-working atmosphere and they don't like you. That's not God's presence. So it's traumatizing. To be with a partner who doesn't connect with you, that's traumatizing. Don't think you have to be overtly, majorly abused to say that you have hurts. We have hurts for not even being in heaven. Earth is a place of wound. That's why Jesus on the crucifix, the crucifixion was a symbol of earth is going to kill you. The 4 points of a cross, earth, water, fire, air, 4 elements, that's earth. The symbolism of crucifixion was, this is what you will all get. You will all be crucified by this place. The dark night of the soul is a mini crucifixion. The question is, do you resurrect? Do you bounce back from life's crucifixions? This place will crucify you. And I'm not trying to sound all pessimistic. This place will crucify you. There's no doubt about it. Its symbol in astrology is an X, which you could have interpreted as, don't come here. But no. We're like, oh, look, a kite. I could ride on a kite freely, through the universe. No, it was like, beware. But, to us, it's like, oh, look, I got to try that. So if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Earth is the cosmic New York. And believe it or not, I don't care what other beings are out there, higher dimensional, Arcturian, 5th dimensional, 8th dimensional, blah, 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 beings, I promise you this. When we ascend this planet and ourselves, those beings go up a notch. Everyone in the universe is benefited by us doing our work. But the work is not just spiritual, the healing path. We have to embrace both. When one of you used that word like coexisting, for example, you can't force yourself to coexist, which is what the world tries every so often. Forcing people to think and be a certain way because it's more appropriate in someone else's eyes. We think you need to all behave a certain way. It has to be, if we really understand who we are, we wouldn't act any other way. You couldn't have sexism and racism. You couldn't have those things if you know who you are. The most important thing is our relationship with God and ourselves. The people outside are a reflection of me. When I don't like a certain group or type of person, that's a part of me I've segmented out and said, I don't like that part of me. It doesn't literally mean my Catholic part, my this part, my that, my skin color part, my gender. It can be that, but it can also be what they represent to you. I don't like that certain religion. That could be anything from previous lifetimes in that religion where you saw things not go so well. It could be persecutions you've done to that religion before that you're still carrying. But it could also, like I said, have been you were in that religion and were persecuted. Our triggers are, my God, there's just more reasons behind it than everybody could imagine. And when somebody says, do I have to remember past lives to heal? If I really want to heal, if I really believe in this plaque and blah, 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 and I want to really cleanse myself, do I have to remember past lives? You have to be willing to remember them. Which means what? Can't be afraid of them. I don't even want to know. That doesn't work. When you're like, oh my God, I know some stuff happened in my childhood. I don't want to go. I don't want to remember it. I know that some really wicked things happened in a past life. I don't even want to know about it. I swear to you, all you're doing is awakening like the curiosity of your angels, your guardians. They come flying over quickly. Tell us what you don't want to work on quickly. Give us details. Come on. Ooh, yeah, I wouldn't want to remember that either. Oh, you slept with how many people? Oh, wow. It's like that. It really is. You have to be willing, not have to remember them, because that is a have to. And that becomes an attachment and an addiction. You have to be willing to. Look at the feeling that I might not see it. Childhood stuff, you might not. What I would do is I'm going to leave it to the Holy Spirit. I'll leave that to the Divine Mother. The Mother of the universe will decide when, how, where, what I need to deal with. That's the best way to go. I don't think it's wise for us to try to determine our own prognosis, our own treatment routine, and so on. I think I'll work on all things with men on Monday, all things with women. It doesn't work that way. Just the very fact that you think you can control that already messes up the whole plan. I'm open. And here's one of the really most beautiful things about healing in relation to lifetimes and reincarnation and so forth, is that it's like I don't know if any of you will relate to this. There's these things that used to be called record players. Okay? And on record players, there was this post in the middle where you'd place these vinyl discs onto it. Now, let's pretend the discs are, there's my previous Egyptian lifetime, there's my Babylonian lifetime, oh, there's that one in Europe, and here's one in the early Americas. Okay, like that. That's what lifetimes are like. And they're all on your turntable. They're all part of your wheel of life and lessons. But what's really cool, the ego is going to say to you when you decide to get on the healing path, are you sure? We've got stacks. And you know what? Some records aren't even on the turntable. Look at your record collection. Your Akashic record collection. I mean, you better just go numb. Just go numb. If there is a God, the ego is going to say, if there is a God, just trust that God will somehow figure it out, which isn't true. You have to show up. You can't say, God, fix everything. I'll be taking a nap. I want to be ascended master when I wake up in 30 minutes. It doesn't work. You have to show up. So the ego's going, and you're like, okay, I promise I never want to work on myself. And it has some merit because it's saying it's going to hurt. Are you sure you want to work on yourself? It's going to hurt. And you know what? There's no end to the number of songs, stories per album, no end to the number of Akashic record albums. Are you sure? That part it's telling you is true. And we do have to look at ourselves. We do. When, how much, where, and what form varies. But what the ego doesn't tell you is this. When those records are stacked on that turntable, meaning in your soul, and you're ready to start working on stuff, when the soul is healing, It's as though it punctures through every song related to issues with men. All the records related. It doesn't just work on your annoyances today with men. What it does is, it does more like a search find. This person is ready to start working on that particular trigger, abandonment. All the records get stacked on that turntable and get hole punched so that it's healed. That's efficiency. And we're not told that when you work on any issue, you're working on all related issues of that topic for all time. The ego doesn't want to tell you that, because then you're going to start realizing, so really, I only have a few primary issues and it's all being cleared out. It doesn't tell you that. That by the time it tries to threaten you with, fine, so you worked on some of these records, and it goes to reach for more and they're gone. They're not there. There's no plaque left in the system. There's no things clinging on. And if there is, when there is now and then, there are things clinging, I'm the one who clung to them. Why would I cling to old hurts? Believe it or not, we're afraid of our light more than our darkness. We cling to some of the darkness because, it keeps us here just a little longer. We want to be in control, is what it comes down to. One of you is asking, knowing oneself, and that's what all this is about. Do you know yourself? Oh, yeah, I'm a single mom. No. Do you know yourself? You're a single mom? Yeah. Why are you single? Well, that's attacking me. It's not my fault, it's their fault. Okay, why are you single? What if you wanted to be single? Well, I don't want to be single. So now you don't even know if you're the one who wants to be single or not. Because you're saying you're single, but you're saying you don't want to be. How could something be like that? We only ever are experiencing what we most want to experience, which sounds insane, I know, but it happens. How do you know what your biggest issues are? They're the ones that are happening. Oh, I got to go searching for them. Okay, you want me to help you? I can cut down some time. I could just looking and talking to you. Because all of us are actually bleeding it out and nobody seems to be interested. If I'm in a public place, I'm strange in so many different ways. But one of the ways is when somebody walks by me, I see them. I start to see them. Now I can also not. It's not like it's a compulsion. But very often I'm just drawn to see a person, soul level. And I can tell that something's happening in their right hip. But it must be weird to see this guy sitting somewhere going, and we're just watching people and, I'm sure that seems a little weird. So, I try to be a little inconspicuous, but I see it. I see it. Oh, the color of your eyes, the shape of your nose, all of it is telling me something. I'm not overanalyzing and I'm not analyzing you per se. It's just that when you have your eyes open, you start to see. And you no longer just see hot-looking person, this kind of person. It doesn't work that way anymore. You're seeing souls. And there's a downside to that. When you start seeing souls, you no longer know how to relate to humans. Because, it's like third dimensional. It's just kind of dense conversation. Oh, there's a hot girl or guy. But your brain doesn't know how to access that anymore. You're seeing hot, but oh, wow. So much sadness. What's that? You start picking up on deeper things. So you don't get hooked by compulsions of eyes and bodies, which when you're wanting to date can be a drag. It's like, oh, I don't, like all higher dimension, multiple dimension, and can't you just shut up and date somebody? So, do you come here often? It all seems funny. I can't picture that sort of thing. What sign are you? Come on, so it does get a little awkward. So stay married if you're married. Because breaking out of that, you're going to have to go through all this over again, right? And I mean that humorously, do whatever. But isn't it a deep thought to imagine that everybody is telling you something? And isn't it kind of tragic that most people aren't listening? Think about that. How many people are listening? I'm telling you, they can't, they don't want to, they have all kinds of reasons to act like there's no such thing. But when you go to a doctor's office or a counselor or something like that, but let's say a doctor's office, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How old are you? And they look for symptoms. But that's what we should all be doing, is noticing things, not analyzing, but just noticing. If we care, we notice. That's what starts to happen. You can just pick these things up. You know, when my kids were little, I was married and all that and had kids, and when my kids would go to a school, I mean, it was not easy sometimes to see a playground and be able to see what's happening to that kid at home, or to know what that mom is feeling, it can be challenging. But kept within reason and kept with an open mind and an open heart, it's kind of beautiful to just, to be able to, it's because you care. You're not standing there, and analyzing. Your heart, not your head, your heart is open. And so you start to know what's going on. You know what they want to talk about here in the group today. I don't have to ask you. I do that for your amusement. I really do. I don't have to ask you. I'd be covering most of the same things. And I reference the words to let you know that I heard you and I'm addressing some of your topics. That's what I'm doing. I don't have to. I'm not like I have nothing to say. Let me read their word. This is going to happen anyway. But why? It has nothing to do with memorizing information and doing talks. This is about, caring. It really is. Caring. If I'm a musician, I can be a musician who doesn't really care because I'm great. I'll just do my thing above everybody else's. Or I care. I really want to help embellish what you're doing right there. Let me accent that, right? And as they say, the space between notes are as important as the note. It's, that's feeling. That's not thinking. Some kinds of music are far more thinking oriented. And some are like, what's really happening here? It's one reason music has died the way it has. And films and whatever else dying the way they do. Because people aren't doing it right. Nobody's doing it right. But generally, people got used to not doing it right. Care. Hey, how can I help? I played soccer, and when I was a kid, that is, and I found it just as helpful to pass the ball to somebody who was going to score rather than try to score. I found it fulfilling, to do that. There was this one time team where it was like, I saw a couple of guys are like, man, I want the ball. Guys, I just slipped right into, and I'll get it to you. The supernatural players, the ones that are big names are the ones that look at me, I scored a lot. But there are these supernatural players, like in hockey, Wayne Gretzky. That guy was just as successful as getting the puck to other people and letting them score as he was himself. And they're asking him, how do you do this? How do you always know you're always on it? You're always the puck, you're passing it, you're scoring, or whatever. He just says, I intuit where the puck's going next, and I skate there. So he's going somewhere where nobody else is going, and he ends up with the puck. Because that was the bigger picture he was tuning into. So if you go to a doctor and they just keep coming from the same, what's going on, here, okay, take this. Why am I taking it? I don't know. If they're honest, they would have to say, I don't know, I'm just told to give this to you. If I sell enough of these, I get a big bonus at the end of the month. Like, wow, really? That's, strange. But is the doctor allowed to sit and intuit what's going on? Are they given enough time to really do that? And a lot of times in clinics and hospitals, they have a schedule. They have to keep up. To keep up, they have to not feel. Just do. And that's tragic, right? But I'm saying the human race is the same way. They get caught in their own things. And one of the stellar big reasons that people aren't listening is because the wounds you see are your own. If you address them too much with other people, it might trigger your own healing. Too much, That's what you really, you might say, I don't have time, or I don't want to be invasive. Guys, it's avoidance. The willingness to hear, see, feel what's happening in each other I think it's beautiful. Just beautiful. To be able to know, it isn't the cure you give them, it's the fact that you even care enough. Separation from God is the cause behind all problems. The belief that we're separate from love is the ultimate cause of all problems. That's why I said trauma is the lack of love's presence. So feeling separate is the cause behind everything. When you demonstrate that you care about someone, not even words, just seeing them in a grocery store and going, wow, okay, and you send them a blessing, you're already beginning a healing for them because you saw, heard, felt what they're dealing with, and you responded with a blessing. You don't even have to have spoken to them. Just the consciousness. Why? Because their soul, as well as everybody else's, thinks, I'm separate from love, I'm separate from God. When someone across the room saw them energetically, they felt it. They felt that someone cared. By you caring, you're demonstrating to those people that they have value. If you don't care, it's because they have no value. What do I care? I don't need to care for you. I don't even know you. Be on your own. And you have no value is the message I sent you. When I demonstrate, even just taking a moment to go, wait, what's going on there? On a soul level, you sent a message. Are you okay? You matter to me. And I do, is what their soul is saying. I do? I have value? On a soul level, they begin to blossom. They begin to heal. Isn't that beautiful? But we have to be willing to see. Don't listen to your head that says, I'm going to get overstimulated if I start tuning into people. I'm not saying do it too much. Just do what you can when you can and ask the Mother, the Divine Mother, the Holy Spirit, to guide you in becoming a better human being. Technically, it's more of a light worker. Technically, it's more of a healer. But if I say healer, you're going to go, well, that doesn't apply to me. I'm not really into any healing arts. It's not about the art, the tool you use. It's about the care on a heart level. It's just fantastic. And that's why people will say to me, I did a session with you. I've done sessions, hour-long, 2-hour-long sessions with people for years. You started a session, and in 5 minutes, I'm crying, and you're telling me all these things. Right. Because we can be that aware of each other. Right? Just desire to do it, and it'll start to happen. How can this not improve your presence as a mom or a dad? As an employer? As an employee, or whatever you do. You start becoming aware. What is really happening right here, right now? That person's needing an extra, hi, how are you? That person's and you'll find sometimes you're going to get insights on what to do in a situation. Other times it's just spontaneous and you do it. And people might say, how did you know to, just like when I'm doing talks or whatever, somebody here or online is going to go, no, wait. How did he start talking? Every week he talks about different topics. How was it that he started talking about a specific type of plaque in the colon that I just was dealing with this week? How is that? I'm telling you, because the Mother knows everything about us and is trying to assist us home. And when we listen to her, we can help each other in that direction. If we just open up to this isn't like cognitive skills of mine. It's not like there was a school that taught me how to read every freckle on the body and what it means. Oh, you have a freckle under your right eye. You should be moving to the right side of the planet. I mean, no, it's not some weird analysis. It's just sensitivity. The downside is don't become hypersensitive. Okay, that's the key there. Back to balance. So do healing work, hear people's needs, hear, what are they feeling, what are they needing? It's so amazing. You pay somebody's $5 that they were missing in the grocery line, and it means everything to them. It doesn't mean constantly do that to everybody. Learn to listen when, where, how much. Ask. You show me. I'm not sure. Start your day with it. How can I shine God's light into the world today? But it's not just here. It's here. Don't just tell us what thing we needed to learn today. Are you even caring that as you're telling me about how many dimensions there are in the universe, are you even noticing that my hands are quivering because of emotions? You see what I mean? Wow. You can have these brilliant conversations. I remember going out dancing as a young guy. And it was like I was married, so I never did any of that from, any time in high school or after high school till I was like 30. But I went out, and I remember like this rare moment where I met somebody and I thought, that seems like the kind of person I could relate to. Get it, date or whatever you call it. I'm sorry, it's not real skilled in that area. But dude, whatever you call that, see somebody, So, but I started talking and I'm like, so what do these humans do in these instances, Because I'm not familiar with it. So I'm like, okay. Real loud music. Can we go outside and talk? Because I wanted to be able to talk. So let's go outside and who are you and whatever, nice, But, I'm going through a divorce. Guys, I shift immediately into what's needed there. I didn't go, well, how can I turn this into a date? I don't care about dating. What I care about is what's needed in the moment. Honestly. So for me, I switched gears, and I hope all of us can do the same thing and be that way, or already that way, I hope. That instead of, I'm going out dancing, I hope to meet somebody. No, I'm going to be the presence of God. And that's allowed to date. It's okay if there wasn't something else taking precedence. But when you see somebody in pain, I can't wait, I'm going to a concert. And it's really great. I get to go to a concert, my favorite band. On the way, somebody's broken down. I have to consider, I'm not saying stop, I have to consider stopping. What is needed right here and now? And yes, there's times, it's like, oh, wow. I can see that I had an agenda to be at a concert, but one of my brothers or sisters is in trouble. What do I need to do right now? And sometimes stop, and sometimes you'll feel like, no, it's not to be. But if I were to keep driving, I don't just keep driving. I keep driving trusting, I guess, God, you have someone else lined up to take care of that. Please take a few centering breaths. The woman who asked, I have to let my husband take the lead. No, God. But trust God through your husband. If you put the burden on husband, he'll have limits. God doesn't. It's a bigger initiation than you thought. It's not just husband taking the lead. It's you're trusting husband to take the lead. And are you trusting the mortal or God through your husband? Are you trusting a person just gives you a massage, or are you trusting the Holy Spirit to work through them? If you do that, they might find things that nobody else found. Surrender yourself. Even if you have to have surgery. Don't judge surgery, or else it'll become a problem. Surrender to it and trust the Holy Spirit working through the surgeon, through your gardener, through your electrician, through whomever. Trust God to come through. God coming through those people doesn't guarantee they don't make mistakes. But it might be that God is allowing this person to make mistakes so that you can practice forgiveness and see that person's holiness. It's not always easy. Your sensitive diet and you order certain vegetarian meal and they bring you the opposite. That's not easy, of course. You're frustrated. Of course. They put something into you didn't know they put into that you're allergic to and you get sick. I understand. These things are not always easy. But the more we trust, the more the light comes through. Father, Mother God, in our mind's eye, show us anyone spontaneously, you show me, anyone that was in front of me, anyone before me, anyone in my space recently, that's today, this week, this month, recently, that was there by your assignment and I missed it. The way they walked, the way they stood, they were too loud, they were too quiet, too aggressive, too passive. Show me the image of one or more people that were sent to me for healing, and I didn't see it. What I saw was the external interaction. Show me based on their posture, and I missed it. Their clenched jaw, their uptight personality. Show me. Whoever I'm seeing, whether I knew them or they were acquaintances or people passing by, whoever, to all of you, and even ones I'm not thinking of, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And I thank you for showing up now. I would love to have seen when it was time to see you. I missed it, and I'm sorry. But the great news is, I see you now. That's all that matters. I see you now. The fact that I see you opens up the possibility of downloading blessings of love to you. That's God's will, that's God's power. Downloading blessings of love. We don't have to necessarily analyze what the thing was, a frown on their face, an ache in their hip. We don't have to analyze what it was. The simplest is a blessing. I see it. Whatever this is, brother or sister, I see it. And if we hold space together, it can unwind. If it's their jaw that was tense, picture, not that you would do this in the 3D real world, the real time, touch their face, guys, and let their jaw relax. If it's their hip, hold their hip for a moment. You can even just do it in your mind without visualizing contact as a healer. Just picture the person in front of you calming down and feeling peace. Their tensions are unwinding. Their scapula, shoulder blades and such, their feet, their ankles, just, oh my God. Let it go. Let it go. Peace. Be still and know the I am presence of God. Peace, peace, my brother, sister. I'm so sorry for whatever happened that became this ache or financial lack or whatever the symptom was. I'm so sorry that that manifested, but I'm here now. I see you, and even without knowing what it was, I do see on some level the causes. And I'm holding space with you, and we're letting this, two or more gathered with one intention, we're letting this unwind so that we can know together the peace of God. And the peace and healing I shine upon you, I also receive for myself. Exchange a smile to each other. The person in your mind or people in your mind. Exchange a smile. It's a smile of peace. Everything's okay. We're told in the book of Revelation, I will wipe away all tears. So let that be. And so it is. Just gently come back into the room, please. How's everyone feeling? Good. I guess we needed to talk about healing at a deeper level today. It's not the only topic. We went a lot of places, but very, very good. And I hope I addressed, most of your questions, if not all of them. We're going to, in a moment, take up collection. But before we do, what did you hear or learn in today's talk or the meditation?
Stay trusting and true so the light will come through.
Stay trusting and true so the light will come through. Yes.
One of the things I love is that, I say prayers for a number of people every single day. It's just part of my routine. And this one person I hadn't seen in many, many years, so I sort of excluded him from my prayers.
Mm-hmm.
He literally called me
Mm.
the next day and asked me if everything was all right.
Wow.
So it really does make a difference. I mean,
Yeah.
that to me was so clear that when I send out these prayers, it's making a difference.
Beautiful. You're seeing evidence in doing this kind of work. Often the people you're doing work with end up calling or showing up in your life. It's kind of interesting because it's showing that some effect is happening. Yes.
I was really struck by thank you for being a conduit for our ability to see one another.
Mm.
Really see one another.
That's not a light topic. I love it. I mean, I love it. The concept of people are all speaking through their very being what's happening inside of them. Nobody is listening. I don't mean literally nobody ever, but generally and when they don't listen, it means they don't care. If they don't care, every man for himself, and you're enforcing the separation from love. How can we expect a good world there? But the beauty that what's going on. I know you're busy, and it's amazing to look at another human being who says, I started crying during yoga, and now yoga's over, and I come over, and are you okay? Oh, I'm sorry, this is silly. I'm crying, some stuff's coming up, but this is yoga. We're supposed to be doing, no. Yoga is yoking yourself to God. So let's do that. It's not an exercise program. It's yoking yourself to God. You're doing that when you're unwinding. Let's unwind. You see, it's a whole different way of thinking to recognize what we're really being asked to do. Being here for each other. It's, it's just so beautiful. To be able to hold another person that hasn't been held for a while or needs to be held, even if they were held yesterday. Today they need that. It becomes a healing. It becomes an absolute healing. There's an unwinding to hold somebody who hasn't been held. Even love making can be healing. If you're making love with a space and intention of being together and unwinding, away from the doing someone to, this beautiful, deep presence. God, I get to show up. Really? Is that okay if I show up? I have pain here and you care and you're going to let me unwind that? Oh, I just think it's a beautiful thing. The spirituality is fantastic. We talk about it every Sunday. We're deep, 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 powerful workshops, etc. And every so often I come back and we end up on a topic of healing for some reason. And the reason is we must not ignore that. And I think it's just as powerful to tell you, hey, Christ consciousness and ancient civilizations, we do this and that and the other. I think it's beautiful, powerful, spiritual. But it's just as powerful, not just how many dimensions there are, but to be able to talk about it's okay to let that come through. At the end of today, any day, at the end of today, you held somebody who cried that's never told anybody about that thing. If I could choose that or let people know what the parables of the Bible mean, I'd rather do that. The other's cool too. They're equally great. But I'm saying as a human being, I really love that. And I'll never be done with that while we're here. That is always going to be a part of my work. I'll never just exclusively do teaching. It's teaching and healing. And we're all teachers and healers, not by occupation per se, but your reaction to people's wounds is teaching them they're unworthy, they're unlovable. Your reaction that you give them time and space, even if it's just in here, you taught them that they're lovable. It's always teaching. It's not always with a pointer tool and charts. It's, there's a place for that. But I love, reaching to people's hearts. There's something very, very magical and beautiful about it. You agree? Yes. It's just, wow. Every so often, like, wow, let's get back to this thing and not just, that's interesting, but wow, somebody saw what I was feeling. It's powerful. We'll take up our collection. Please be as generous as you can be. Part of the ritual of donations is, for example, you reach for your wallet, you take out your wallet, and there's no money in it. That's an illness. That's a symptom of something inside. Don't shame it. Don't hide it. Just see it and know that we see it and we're okay with that. You don't have $1 to put in the basket. You have $1 million to put in the basket. Great. Bless you. You don't have any. Equal blessing to you. Thank you for the $1 million. Thank you for sharing that you have nothing, because we're going to turn that around, okay, in consciousness. Be as generous as you can be, and we'll do the prosperity blessing together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. While they're passing those, it'll only take a minute or two, and we're doing our closing prayer. A couple of quick announcements while they're passing those. Please remember, it's starting the December month. Every year we do this. We receive donations from you that you can give specifically for us to help people of lesser means. We do this every year. Some of you donate 1,000, some of you donate 10. Whatever you can afford, you bring it to the admins in the office or the bookstore, like in Sunday, if there happens to be nobody in the office. You just tell them this is a donation. It's a check. It's a credit card. One person each year seems to, they donate a stack of credit card, like $50, $20 gift certificates. Whatever you can do, please share that with us. We do our best, and we take those out and share those with people that have lesser means, okay? It's something we love doing, and we love that you participate. The board members ourselves actually put donations in. We don't just receive your donations. We put probably at least 50% of what we give away comes from the half dozen board members. So we do a lot of our own donating to this, but we appreciate if everybody can pitch in. So we've got that here going on. And let's see. We have their crystal bed sessions still. That's ongoing. We have our healing room out here, the yurt. So especially if you're traveling through, you might want to check that out, the crystal bed sessions. They're extremely powerful. And I've been said this for a while, but reminding you, in our bookstore, every center, in every town, bookstores, gift shops, they all have beautiful things. Angel statues, icons, books, incense, oils. It's all really cool. All of them have something going on. We're grateful, though, to be able to share with you, because we're a spiritual center, you already save by not paying taxes on it, because we're a nonprofit. So you already save there financially, but we also don't charge as much. For anything from an incense, somebody will charge $3 for, we'll charge $2. We don't look at tripling the way some stores have to make their exorbitant rent in a place like Sedona. We don't have to. So we don't triple and so forth. We have crystals in this place that are probably 4 times the cost if you shop in some other stores. But some of those stores have some stellar things. Whatever you're drawn to, you get it for sure. But I'm proud to say that you save a lot by shopping here. On social media, remember, we have YouTube videos available, hundreds of them that you can watch on different topics. We have Facebook groups. There's one Friends of Michael Mirdad Facebook group, and that allows you in as well to do a Zoom program if you'd like. On Mondays, we go into an hour or two to all kinds of topics. It's very insightful, very healing, and informative. We also have once or twice a month, a Daughters of Heaven, we have Facebook group. You can go on there, and that would enter you to the Zoom program for that. If you want to go on that program in particular, and we share. We also, once a month, we have a prayer devotional day once a month, the first Sunday of each month. So you can join that anytime. Most of these things we do are free, all right? Remember that each day of the week we have videos played from 12 to 2. And it ends with a prayer that's being shared by our lead chaplain, Jeff. But videos are shared. It could be Gary Renard, it could be Carol Howe, Michael Mirdad, Mary Morrissey, or whomever, along the lines of deep spirituality, inspirational videos. So you can sit free and just learn, hear, feel, meditate, whatever it happens to be. Thank you to those of you who attended the 3-day intensive. Wow, on Christ consciousness, man, this was really, really extraordinary. Pretty amazing, the things we shared and the depths, places we went. A lot of things we shared in this one that we've not done in any others in the past, any other workshops of that nature. And I think that's it. If you would please stand for our closing prayer. And before we launch into the prayer, I would greatly appreciate it if you would reach to somebody around you and give each other a hug. Pick at least two people. At least two people. Let them know that you see them. Let them know you love them. Sure. People online, hugs, hugs, hugs. Let them know you love them. Let them know you see them, guys. Let them know I'm here. I see you. We don't have to do anything. I already see you. I'm here, in consciousness. Blessings to you all. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is. I am. We are. And so it is. Peace be with you. We'll see you soon.